So after my previous video on who is the greatest centre of all time, I mentioned that the other 4 positions aren't up for debate. And I said that the best point guard of all time is Magic Johnson, the best shooting guard of all time is Michael Jordan, best small forward LeBron, and best power forward Tim Duncan. But little did I know that there's some fans who don't consider Tim Duncan the best power forward of all time. Which honestly, I just thought everyone considered him the best power forward of all time, but clearly I was wrong. And a lot of people do consider Dirk Nowitzki to be the best power forward of all time. And I'm a huge fan of Dirk. I've loved watching him and I think his fadeaway is a beautiful shot. But I'd struggle to ever put him over Tim Duncan. But for this video, I'm going to try and make the argument as to why Dirk Nowitzki is better than Tim Duncan, even though I don't believe it myself. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So throughout the 2000s decade, Dirk Nowitzki was one of the most dominant scorers in the league, averaging 24.4 points throughout the decade. But what makes Dirk special isn't the stats. It's his character, it's his loyalty, and it's his effortless shooting. But it all started on draft night.
With the 9th pick in the 1998 NBA Draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Dirk Nowitzki from Würzburg, Germany.
Wait, hang on, Dirk was drafted by the Bucks? I thought he played for the Mavericks his whole career. Well, the Mavericks actually had the 6th pick in the draft, but didn't choose Dirk, and instead drafted Robert Traylor. And if you're thinking, I've got no idea who that guy is, that's the point. Robert Traylor unfortunately never became a star at all and didn't really have many seasons in the NBA. And so the Mavericks drafted Robert Traylor at 6th pick, and then the Milwaukee Bucks drafted Dirk Nowitzki at the 9th pick. But then possibly one of the worst draft night trades of all time happened, where the Bucks and Mavericks traded Dirk Nowitzki for Robert Traylor. But the thing is, this really does beg the question to me as why the Mavericks didn't just draft Dirk Nowitzki in the first place. But I guess we'll never know. Then for his first season in Dallas, he wasn't played a lot and he didn't have a huge impact on the team, to be honest. He wasn't named on any all-rookie teams and only started in 24 total games, but he was just getting started. By his second season, he was a starter for Dallas, but it wasn't until his 3rd season that he really took off. He took the Mavericks to the West Conference Finals, and it was the first time since 1990 that the Mavericks had even been in the playoffs, so it was a 10-year drought that he just ended. Then from 2000 to 2010, the Mavericks roster changed a lot, with Dirk being the only player still there from 2000 to 2010. And in 2007, Dirk won his first and only MVP award, although he could have had a lot more. Then throughout the 2000s, they had varying degrees of success, from losing in the first round to winning the NBA championship in the 2010-2011 season, which I personally think is one of the most impressive championship runs in NBA history. In the second round, they faced a prime Kobe Bryant and the Lakers, and swept them in 4 games. Then in the Western Conference Finals, they faced the OKC with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka and James Harden, but the Mavericks beat them convincingly as well with a 4-1 victory. But the Mavericks' toughest challenge was still yet to come as they faced the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals. The Miami Heat with LeBron James, Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, 3 future Hall of Famers all in their prime of their careers. LeBron and D-Wade even mocked Dirk before they faced off, as they were so confident they would win, but they should have known how great Dirk was going to be from his previous playoff games, as he had 2 40-point games against the Thunder. And of course, Dirk dismantled the Miami Heat, winning the Finals MVP in the process and averaging 26 points just in the Finals. Dirk completed one of the toughest final runs in NBA history, with no other stars by his side. Truly impressive stuff from Dirk. But then of course, you can't talk about Dirk without talking about his amazing fadeaway. And because Dirk was never the fastest or the most athletic, he had to find other ways to get an advantage over his opponent. With his fadeaway being off 1 leg rather than 2, it was unconventional but also gave a lot of advantages. It allowed for more separation to be created, and Dirk would lean back as well for even more separation. And when you combine that with how high he would release the ball, as he is 7 feet tall, it makes his shot utterly unguardable. His shot may have not looked the best, and his shooting form is, well, questionable. But you can't deny how efficient and lethal he was as a shooter. Other than Kevin Durant, I'd say he's the best 7-foot shooter there has ever been. He's a Dallas Mavericks legend whose legacy will live on for generations, but it's about time we make some comparisons to Tim Duncan. And on the defensive end, it's no question that Timmy was better. He was named on the all-defensive team an incredible 15 times throughout his career, and he was the anchor of the Spurs defense. Dirk on defense though was really too slow and not very agile, and he struggled to keep up with his man. Dirk was certainly an offensive player. In terms of shooting, Dirk was clearly better, there's no question about that. Although Timmy had some nice post moves and mid-range shots, he could never expand that out to the 3-point line, whereas Dirk was excellent from behind the arc and shot 38% for his career. They may have both played the power forward position, but they often didn't guard each other. This was because Timmy would often play more of a centre at times, and Dirk just wouldn't be able to guard him, that's for sure. And it's obviously also important to look at the number of championships each of them had, and Tim Duncan has 5 to only Dirk's 1. But if we're arguing for Dirk here, Tim Duncan had far more support around him than Dirk Nowitzki ever had. He had Kawhi Leonard, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili and Danny Green too. All of those being better than Dirk's second best player, who was an out of prime Jason Kidd at 37 years old. If you switch Dirk and Tim Duncan over, would Dirk have won 5 rings on the Spurs? Quite possibly. But would Tim Duncan have won more than 1 ring on Dallas? Quite possibly too. And although their play styles vary a bit, they are quite similar in a lot of ways, I think. They're both very calm and respectful players, and may not be the most interesting to watch, but they were so dominant in their primes. Their longevities as well were both very impressive too, with them both playing a near all-star level until they were around 38 years old. And I feel like for both of these two, you could argue that they are top 10 players all time, but I'm still happy to say that Tim Duncan is better than Dirk Nowitzki. So yes, I still wouldn't take Dirk Nowitzki over Tim Duncan, but I do love watching Dirk play. And honestly, Dirk is one of the most underrated stars I think there's ever been. Just because he's not super athletic and super agile, people don't rate him as much as they should. And so that's everything for this video, and as always I hope you've really enjoyed it. And obviously you always see me wearing this Boston jersey, but I will be getting some more jerseys for Christmas, so that's something to look forward to. And so if you want to see more videos from me, please feel free to subscribe and like, as it really does help me out. And then as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.